do you identify, Louise? Do you think of yourself, if I might ask you such a vulgar question, do you think of yourself first as a Native American or as an American or as a European American, since your father's German American? What's the first box you check?
Mother.
Mother.
Yes, I checked that one in the right away. And I checked writer.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I checked Native American.
Mm-hmm.
This was an issue with my grandfather. Would I be enrolled in the tribe or not?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it wasn't seen as a possible positive.
To be in the tribe.
It might not. He said, you're going to have to make this decision, and he wrote a really beautiful letter to my parents, wondering whether I should be enrolled or not, but then saying if she, at the time I had black hair, and I think I had his kind of nose or something, and he said, if she looks so dang much like her grandpa, then list her with the Chippewas. You know.
But what was the downside for him? What was he saying in that letter?
What was he saying? He was looking at the generations that had seen such dramatic and irreversible change. You know, he knew that in 1882 there'd been Chester Arthur had established a reservation for the Turtle Mountain Chippewa, who had included the Métis, and that was a 22 township reservation. And he knew that by 1884, that reservation was reduced from 22 to 2 townships. And he knew that by 1887, that winter 151 Chippewa had starved, while the rest of their township was feeding cattle for the white settlers. So he knew these things had happened, and then he saw, from 1954 to 1958, when he was a tribal chairman, he saw this juggernaut of termination. It was House Concurrent Resolution 108, and it was going to come through, and tribes were going to be terminated. Their relationship with the federal government would be at an end. Their land would be gone because they were in such poverty during the 50s that very few people would have been able to afford their own land. So they would have had to sell their land. And he knew that would be the end of the Turtle Mountain Chippewa as a people. So he saw the downside. You know, he did not foresee what would come. In fact, out of termination, an incredible resurgence of Native sovereignty.
No one could see that then.
He couldn't see it. And he fought so hard.
But also he knew that in many ways, if you, as it were, chose a non-Native identity,
Right.
It's a bit like passing for a black person, that you wouldn't have to
That's
suffer
right.
this certain forms of discrimination.
Well, I think he considered that, but he also knew how deep his Native identity went. He lamented sometimes in his letters that he was one of the few dancers at the time who had come out and he did namings. He danced. He belonged to the traditional Ojibwe religion, the Medewe, in the Grand Medicine Society, and he was a practicing Catholic. So he could walk through anything. He was a highly resourceful, intelligent man.